boy. Parents, I come over here and I expect to be you to be here, and I didn't realize you moved out on us. Mamish like Yaakov in the middle of the night. You escaped.
The funny part is I didn't know I moved out either.
I hear.
Like my wife, when she went to Eretz Yisrael for the year, she came back and her parents moved from Jersey to Long Beach.
I hear. I hear. You find anybody to give away your pets too?
They're not mine. They're I don't know their last name. I know her married last name.
All right, whatever it is.
Whatever. I'm trying to help. Whatever, you know?
Yep, you're a good man.
There's other weirdos that want animals in Far Rockaway like me, so.
Yeah, I hear. Okay, ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right, so just the chazah from yesterday, Daf Yud. So we're makel on Sveikus from the Torah by Benachim the Rabanan. Right, and then we went to all the cases of ultimately I think it's 10 cases, right? 10 cases of the mice and all that, etc., etc. Right? Hold on. And then then there was in the middle, they would put down 9 pieces and found 10, 10 pieces and found 9, etc., etc. And then Amud Beis also continues with the shilas. If you find the mouse, the bread in the mouse, and then you find the mouse in the mouth of the what do you call it? Chulda, etc., etc. Fine. So that brings us to our Mishna on Yud Amud Beis. Right? That's where we left off, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rabbi Yehuda Omer, very interesting Mishnah here because it's interesting what you'd the way the Gemara, the maskan of the Gemara, because you learn Pesachim as like Mishnayos. So you're really learning the maskana of the Gemara. When you're learning Pshat and the Mishnayos, you're learning the maskana of the Gemara, right? So then the Havamina of the Gemara I just didn't understand because I was looking through it. I was looking at it from the view of the maskana. So I'm like, I don't understand. It took me a bunch of times to chap that there are such a things as Havaminas and not maskana because whatever. So we'll see. So Zok the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Baitkin R Yehuda Ubi Yedalit Shachrus Ubashas Abir. So Rabbi Yehuda holds you have to do bedikas chametz on the 14th by night, 14th in the morning, and when you're burning it. Now the question is, what's Rabbi Yehuda saying? Is he saying that you have to do 3 bedikas, or is it or? Meaning, if you didn't, you do it the 14th night. If not, then the 14th morning. If not, then when you're burning it. Right, so that's going to be a Machlokes in the Gemara.
Is that a choice or that's 3 times?
No, 3 times. That what the Gemara's Havamina is going to be 3 times. So good to hear you there.
They usually mute me right away.
Our special guest tonight. Look at that.
Yeah. No,
Rabanan, I'll give you a quick thing. What happens if you don't mute yourself? It automatically goes to you, and people see just your phone number. And they don't get to see you. So that's why I'm
Yes, I'm just on the phone number, that's all.
I hear. Okay, we'll take you anywhere we get you.
Okay.
Anyway, so Rabbi Yehuda Omer again, Baitkan or Yudalit Shachos B'Shas Abiyah. 3 times, right? Chachamim are loy badak or Yudalit Yivdek B'Yudalit loy badak B'Yudalit Yivdek B'Seicha Moyed. Loy badak B'Seicha Moyed Yivdek La'achar Moyed. So the Chacham also have 3 times. But it's either the 14th by night, right? If not, then Tzoicha Moyed and Loy Badak Tzoicha Moyed, then Yidlik Lachar Moyed. Now, what does Moyed mean? Right? So Rashi learns Moyed means during the 6th hour, right? Not Chol HaMoyed. Tosfos disagrees. Okay. Tosfos learns Moyed means you do bedikas chametz the entire Pesach, and then if you don't do it on Pesach, you do it after Pesach. Now you can ask a question: why would you do bedikas chametz after Pesach? According to Tosfos, again, it doesn't make clear. Rashi says Toicha Moyed means at the 6th hour when you're burning the chametz. He learns Moyed means at the time of getting rid of the chametz, right? And Tosfos disagrees. Yeah, Tosfos says Toich means through Yom Tov, from the 6th hour till the end of Pesach. You have to be baidik your chametz if you forgot to, right? Which is what we go with Grada, right? Which is usual. We don't usually pass them like Rashi, and even if you didn't do bedikas chametz on Pesach and you remembered after Pesach, you had to be baidik after Pesach. Now, why would you be baidik after Pesach? Because we're afraid that your chametz sha'avar olav Pesach gets mixed in with your regular chametz that came after Pesach. And you have a mixture of chametz, which is no good. That's the only reason. So it's a good riddle. You could ask, right? You could ask, like, well, it's a good riddle. Why would you ever do bedikas chametz after Pesach? The reason is for chametz shalva Pesach. And what do you do with that chametz? If you didn't sell your chametz, let's say you do bedikas chametz after Pesach, right? And you never sold your chametz, you got to be baidik the chametz and throw it out in the garbage. That it happens once in a while. Somebody forgets their chametz. Right? Yeah. So,
what did you say about the Mishna? You said that Rabbi Yehuda might hold that it's either you do it all three or it's an or situation.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in the Gemara now in a minute.
How would they say that if the Chachamim
if the Chachamim say the same thing, right? So the Gemara, right? So the Gemara is going to. We're going to see it in the Gemara in a minute. Yeah. Fine. So anyways, but that's a Machlokes Rashi Tosfos, yeah. Umasha Meshayir, and then back in the Mishnah, Umasha Meshayir Yanachena Betzina, and what's left over you leave it hidden. We referenced this a couple days ago. Kadei shelo yeh tzarich b'dika acharav, said you shouldn't have to be baidik afterwards, meaning your breakfast for the next day Erev Pesach, put it away so that it doesn't get thrown around. Seems like it's just practical advice, right? Yeah, but anyways. Okay, but since when the Mishnayos give practical advice, or is this a halachic thing? Fine. So my time with the Rabbi Yehuda. My time with the Rabbi Yehuda. What's Rabbi Yehuda's reason? Rav Chisda, Rabba, Rav Huna, D'Amrei Tavayu. Rav Chisda and Rabba, Rav Huna both say Keneged Shalosh Hashpasa Shebetoira. It says Shvisa to rest from chametz 3 times. Lo yira lecha chametz, lo yira lecha sa'ar. Shivas yamim lo yimatze b'bateichem. And Ach b'yom harishon tashbisu se'ar mibateichem. Okay, it doesn't say the actual word hashbasa to rest, but there's 3 different psukim that tell you you're not allowed to have chametz. So therefore, what's the Gemara learning now? That you have to. This is what was throwing me off, right? The Gemara is learning now that according to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to be baidik your chametz 3 times. The question is why? Why would you need to be baidik your chametz 3 times? Right? You baidik it once. Right, and then a second time and a third time. So maybe the pshat is, I was listening to one of the Daf Yomi Pesachim on the old Daf today. He said maybe pshat is that you want to make a chazaka 3 times is a chazaka. Maybe that would be. So if you be baidik your chametz 3, that's what he was suggesting. I'm just.
So wait, so what? You have a chazaka that you did what? Badika?
Yeah, chazaka that your house is you have chazaka that you're OCD. I'm saying,
and therefore, when you find something, then what's your excuse?
No, then and a chanami that you ruined your chazaka.
Oh, okay, fine.
You're not as OCD as you thought.
What
you were.
does the chazaka help you?
Unless you're saying that you have to find 3 things to ruin the chazaka, maybe.
I'm saying, but how does the chazaka really help? If you still find the chametz.
No, maybe in order to do it, in order to create a bedikas chametz, you have to check 3 times. That was his suggestion. I hear it. I don't understand fully, but whatever. That was his suggestion. Otherwise, you have another pshat? Anybody have a pshat why you would have to check 3 times?
I mean, I know by me. I don't know by anybody else. The 3rd time would take about 7 seconds. Compared to what the first one takes, for Zichur, it wouldn't take more than 7 seconds.
I'm afraid to ask what the first time takes.
That's what I'm
Yeah. Anyway, okay, but anyway, so that's what the Gemara says. Rabbi Yehuda. That's what the Gemara thinks Rabbi Yehuda is saying now.
And that's with the car. That's being baidik the car also.
That's with the car. Very good. 2 cars.
2 cars.
Okay, so Maser Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yosef asked the kasha. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer. Anybody who wasn't baidik in these 3 times, shuv eine baidik. He should no longer be baidik. So you see that the machlokes is mikan ve'elach. It's not a machlokes and or, right? It's a machlokes like, okay, if you didn't do to here, then you do it then. If you don't do it, then you don't do it. Then mikan ve'elach, you don't do it. So it's that meaning Rabbi Yehuda seemingly is saying the same din as the Chachamim. So Uri, you asking what's the difference? No, then the only Machlokes would be is when you do those bedikas, right? He says Shachris and Shas Habir. That would be Rabbi Yehuda's shita, and the Chachamim say no. You be baidik not by that morning. You baidik in the afternoon by Chatzos, and then after Chatzos. Right? So that's one version of the Gemara. Marzutra Masni Hachi. Marzutra learned it a different way. Maser Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Aimer, Kol Shalei Badak Be'echad Mishloisha Prakam Alalu. Anybody, the Brisa says it this way. That Rabbi Yehuda says anybody who wasn't baidik at one of these three times, Shuv Eina Baidik, he's not baidik anymore. Alma, the Shuv Eina Baidik Uda Pligi. It's a Machlokes in the Chacham and Rabbi Yehuda is about that you're no longer going to do Bedikas Chametz. So clearly, it's or, it's not and, according to Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara changes. Ella, right? Like we said, the rule with Ella is that we change Pshat. Ella, Rabbi Yehuda, Nami, Im Loi Badakama. Rabbi Yehuda is also saying it's if you didn't check, not that you have to check 3 times, right? It's if you didn't check. So what's the machlokes? It's Mar, Savar, Mekami, Surah, in Basar, Surah, Loi. So Rabbi Yehuda holds you do Bedikas Chametz before the Zman Isser. After the Zman Isser, do not be by the Chametz. Gezerah, why not? Dilma Asi because we're afraid that if you're going to be doing Bedikas Chametz, when it's assur, you might say, "Hey, look at this! I found a nice little piece of cake. Let me just pop it into my mouth." But it's already Shas Isser. Rabanan say, "No, we're not geyser." They're not afraid that if you're doing Bedikas Chametz in the middle of Pesach, we're not afraid you're going to pop it into your mouth. So we're going to see over the next Amud exactly what when they say this, when they don't say this chashash. But that's the pshat in the Machlokes again. So
how do you see that from the Mishna, in the words of the Mishna of Rabbi Yehuda? That pshat.
That's what the Machlokes is about.
That's what Rabbi Yehuda is saying.
Or that he's saying or because he says it's baidik or yudalid, and then if you don't check the or yudalid, then yudalid shachris, and then mishas abir. But that's it.
Right, and then what they're arguing in.
No, that you don't see. That the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying that's what Gemara is thinking now is the pshat and the machlokes. Yeah, and the Chanami. That's the Gemara. That's the Gemara. I don't want to say making it up. I mean that's the pshat, right? You always say what's the pshat between whenever there's a machlokes. There's understanding what the machlokes is, and then understanding why each side is saying what they say. Right? Like you have the corona guys. You have the guys that want the masks, don't want the masks. That's the machlokes. Then what's the pshat in the machlokes? Some are Republicans, some are Democrats. You say that pshat. Some are vaxxers, anti-vaxxers, whatever. Lishitasam, all the things. I'm saying that you try and figure out what the pshat in the machlokes is. So that's what the Gemara is thinking now.
It could be that the Machlokes HaMeiron here is how you get to the Machlokes. Do we look at the words of Rabbi Yehuda, or do you look at the words of the Chachamim? If you look at the words of Rabbi Yehuda, that looks like Dafka. You have to do it all 3. If you look at the words of the Chachamim, how they argue in Rabbi Yehuda, they say you can do it the Tzei Chamayim. Rabbi Yehuda didn't say that.
Right. What I mean, okay, but you don't know that that's pshat in the machlokes. It's mashma like that, right? You're right.
The one thing
he says up until
is B'sei Chamayim.
Yeah. Right. That's mistama. That's what would be the pshat. Fine. Yeah. Fine. Okay. So now the Gemara is going to ask for the next about blot. I'm just warning the Olam. After this, we're getting into some rough waters with the. It's not going to be as geschmack as the first from here, and then we start with Tuma and Tara. Tonight's pretty good. Now again, we're not judging and rating but we have to hold. The Olam has to hold stark for the next week and a half or so till we get out of the rest of the parak, because there's a lot of Tuma and Tara and that type of stuff. Umi goes to Rabbi Yehuda. So then the second to bottom line. Umi goes to Rabbi Yehuda. Dilma asi l'meichel minei. Is Rabbi Yehuda afraid that somebody's going to come to eat if you allow him to what do you call it? If you allow him to
be baidik,
to be baidik, even mishas isser, Rabbi Yehuda says that we don't let him do it because we're afraid he's going to eat it. And I got a lot of chizik out of this Mishna here because v'atanan mishakarav ha'omer. So let's use some background, right? So they brought the korban omer second day Pesach. Until the korban omer was brought, you cannot use any new flour, any new wheat, right? But they weren't makar of the omer till the middle of the day, right? So they makar of the omer the middle until they makar the omer, then the flour becomes readily accessible. Now it's cholamoyed, right? So you can't go working the fields cholamoyed unless you mamash have nothing to eat, right? So what it was is vatanan. So the Mishnah says, mishakarav omer, when they brought the carbon omer yotzin, they went out, right? And Umaytzian, I don't know who exactly went out, but if you go into the streets of Yerushalayim, Umaytzian shvake Yerushalayim or shuke Yerushalayim shemaleim kemach v'kali. The streets of Yerushalayim were full of flour and kali is roasted flour, right? Shalai b'retzayin chachamim, divrei Reb Meir. It was not the will of the chachamim, meaning the chachamim did not like it.
Since
they were
Rosh
not happy about
Chodesh is Safkaniyot all over Yerushalayim now, right?
What?
Since Rosh Chodesh is Safkaniyot all over Yerushalayim.
Yeah, so what are you saying?
I'm saying, so they did it before Pesach. So
No, so 1 second. So that's exactly. So what's going on here? Why is it Shalai Baratz and Chachamim? That means somebody had to gather the wheat, cut it, toast it, whatever, take care of it up till the carbon omer, and then boom, the second the Zman hits, it becomes mutter, right? So we know everybody tines that the lines are so long, Motzei Pesach and the pizza shops. No, they did the same thing in Yerushalayim way back then with the carbon omer. You know, you couldn't hold off a few hours to get your wheat, right? Okay, the Chacham didn't like it though, because at least according to Reb Meir, the Chacham they didn't like it because they're afraid if you're playing with wheat before you're allowed to eat it, so you might eat it. Right? So that's what the Chacham didn't like it. Rabbi Yehuda, I remember Chachamim Hayuais, and it was Beratzin Chachamim. You see, Rabbi Yehuda was not worried that you're going to eat it. Right? So it's mamish the opposite here. Right? Here, Rabbi Yehuda is not worried. You're allowed to work with the wheat before you're allowed to eat it, and he wasn't worried that you're gonna eat it by mistake. So it's a stira. Right? It's mamish a stira to our Mishnah. So Marava Shani Chadash mitach shalohi tartaloi elai de kituf hu zachar. No, Chadash, which is what this is, right? Chadash means the new grain. The only way they were allowed to gather it was by plucking it. I think, right? Plucking would be the right word. Grabbing it, meaning they couldn't use tools in order to not gather. Not gather is not the word, right?
harvest.
Harvest. Thank you. Right.
Plucking
harvest.
was right.
No, I'm saying, but they're harvesting. They were not allowed to harvest it in the proper way.
To
they could only
reap it.
Reap it. There you go. Reap it. Right.
Reap the
right.
grain.
So reap it. Harvest. Whatever. Reap it. So they were not allowed to reap it only by grabbing it. So since you were only allowed to grab it, therefore you're going to remember. Hold on 1 second. Why am I only grabbing it and I can't actually use my tools? Oh, because we didn't bring the carbon omer yet. So therefore it's assur to use the wheat. Right, until they bring the carbon omer. So normally
where does it say it's only mutter ali de kituf?
Where does it say? Rashi. I think Rashi.
No, I'm saying where's the origin of this halacha?
It's based on the pasuk, right? Omer reishis k'tzirchem elakayim. No.
Yeah.
Well, that's the pasuk that tells you you're not allowed to.
It's also liksar, so they weren't being liksar.
It's with a shinui. So what do you
But
do
if
with a
look at
shinui?
Rashi, what's the last three words of Rashi? Le'yasi lemechel. Is that from our Gemara or is that part of that? Is that the pasuk is saying do it like that so you won't come to eat it? So essentially, the answer of the Gemara is there is the Gezeira. Everyone holds of this Gezeira by Chadash.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And Hanami, but he's saying that there's a hecker. There's something there's a hecker that's gonna be.
But Hagufa, that is the Gezeira. The kasha is I Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of it there. Turns he does.
Right. No, so that either way. But the point is that the pasuk is saying it's only if you kaitzer it, right? Plucking it, whatever, harvest, reaping it, harvest, whatever it is not considered. Is not considered the derech. So therefore, that doesn't go under kaitzer. So therefore, that's going to act as a reminder, right? But chametz, you don't have that reminder. So then let's see. Right, Abaya has a very pashat kasha. Tenach b'shas katifa. That's all fine that you remember when you're pulling it out of the ground. What about when you're grinding it and then you're sifting it? What kind of shini are you doing there? Maybe you're going to forget, right? Maybe you're going to forget then. Good. So when you're picking it, you won't eat it, right? but when you're grinding it and sifting it, you're not going to remember. So Gemara says, "Halei kasha tchina berechaya diyad." Tchina was done with only hands, right? Only rechayim shel yad, only with the hand grinder, and harkada al yidei nafa, and it's on the al gabi nafa. And the harkada, the sifting, you do it backwards. So meaning everything has to be done with a shinu. You can't use a machine. You have to grind it with the hand. And you can only use the sifter backwards. So you always need a hecker to remind you. So I guess there's no hecker when
that someone's going to eat grain fresh off of a stalk. Is that a thing?
I guess so. Or they'll roast it right then and there. Must be. But so I guess there's no way to be baidik chametz with a shinui, right? Would he agree if there was a way to be baidik chametz with a shinui that you would be able to be baidik chametz, Rabbi Yehuda?
No.
Right? Why? Maybe if you do a shinui here, he's allowing it.
No, whether you do the shin or not, you're going to have the chametz in your possession after you do the b'dika, and that's his issue.
Well, I think his issue is also while you're checking it. I don't know if there's a way to check, John. I just don't know if there's a way to check chametz with a shinui. Check it backwards. You walk around backwards, maybe.
Well, no, they can make it.
Put the candle upside down.
You have to put it in a noxious mixture, something that made it ice chametz. Made it.
But how do you know you're not going to put? How do you know you're not going to eat it before you put it in there? You're going to forget. I don't know. You're right. Maybe walk around.
I thought if you don't use the feather, then you're already doing it with shinoi. No.
Maybe that's a good one. Yeah, don't use the feather. There you go. Or a wood spoon either. maybe. I don't know.
There's a leibadul by chametz, which there isn't by chadar.
No, that's going to be the Gemara's next teretz, but the Gemara is not holding by that yet. The Gemara is not giving that.
Even in this one, it's inbuilt.
Maybe. So the guy again. All right. The Gemara asks a different kasha, so maybe it ends up what you're saying. So maybe. So the Gemara says, "Elohadatan kaitzer beis hashlachayim." V'sheba amokim, you're allowed to do kitzira in the fields that are how do you call it, watered already, and that are in the amek and the
irrigated,
valleys. Irrigated, right? And then are in the valleys. Meaning because that's not a normal place. The wheat that grows there is not good. So therefore, you wouldn't. It's not included in the gezeira of chadash, not the gezeira of the pasuk of chadash. But you can't pile it up. I mean, you can do it with a. You can go there and you can do it normally there, but you can't make big piles. V'kimna Rabbi Yehuda, and we say that that's going according to Rabbi Yehuda. There is no shinui required, right? Why aren't we afraid that you're gonna eat it there? Meaning there you can gather it and everything, but you can't eat it. And that's going according to Rabbi Yehuda. So why isn't he chayshid that you're gonna eat it? Elom Rabaya Nupshat, right? Rabaya says Chadash badal minei chametz loy badal minei Chadash. You've been bottled from it for the last few months. You haven't had any new grain, so since you're used to not eating it, you're not going to need a reminder. But chametz, you've been eating it a whole year. 2 days ago, yesterday, whatever it was, you were eating chametz, so you can forget it much easier than chadash, which has been assur for months and months, right? Yeah. So fine. So Amar Rava, the Rabbi Yehuda kasha. So we already said Rabbi Yehuda is a kasha. The Rabanan Loi kasha, the Rabanan is not a kasha, right? They're also stira, because here in our Mishna, the Rabanan let you do b'dikas chametz after the zman, and they're not afraid you're going to eat it. But here, we said divrei Rameir, but Mustama Rameir is also with the Chachamim, says that he is concerned that you're going to eat it. So it's a stira for them too. So the Rabanan, the Rabbi Yehuda like kasha kedashninan. Rabbi Yehuda, we already answered. The Rabanan, not like kasha. The Rabanan is also not a kasha. Who atzmoi machzor lev l'sarfoi meichel ka'achol minei. Right, a very gishmak svara from the Rabanan. Rabanan is saying he's going around to search for chametz, and you're afraid that he's going to eat it. He's searching because he wants to get rid of it. So, what's his mentality? His mentality when he's walking around, he's going around there to get rid of the chametz, and then you're afraid he's going to eat it. He's not going to do that.
What better way to get rid of it?
Which searching? What time?
And on Chol HaMoed, let's say.
On Chol HaMoed, okay, fine.
What do you say?
Doing this on Chol HaMoed?
On Chol HaMoed, the Rabbanan say you would check on Chol HaMoed because they're not afraid that you're going to eat the chametz. And now we're saying the svara. Why not? because you're looking to burn it. Meichel ka'achole, you're going to eat it. But by chadash, you're not looking to get rid of it. So there, the chachamim are afraid that you might eat it. Meaning chametz. It's very interesting the philosophies, if you want to call it that, between Rabbi Yehuda and the chacham. Rabbi Yehuda is more concerned by chametz that you're going to forget it when you're doing b'dikas chametz. You're going to forget about that it's Pesach and you're going to eat it, right? And the reason for that is because chametz you're used to eating, and the chacham say a different svara. Chametz, we're not worried about you eating it because you're running around trying to get rid of it. So why would you eat it? Right? Those are the two svaras. Rav Ashi Omar, Rabbi Yehuda, like kasha kemach v'kali tanan.
So, excuse me,
Yeah.
Yaakov, so it could be, I mean, we don't, Lemaisa, maybe it could be a chalamoid. Maybe certain stores would be, according to the way they hold, certain stores would be also for you to walk into. You could, let's say you want to go into Costco to buy diapers, but you couldn't walk into Costco because you always buy chametz there.
You mean you want to make a new gezerah
Yeah.
that you can't go into stores that have chametz around because there's a chashash that you might eat it.
You shop by them, ones you shop in the whole year.
Maybe you'll grab the cookies
Yeah.
because you're so used to it.
Yeah, by errands, you're not,
Yeah.
if they're open, you're not, there's no cookies around by errands. But
I
Costco,
understand.
there
I
is,
understand.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
I hope
Yes, the
not.
Poskim do discuss something like that. I just don't remember what I thought they do it more from
Achsania.
smelling the baked goods. What?
Achsania with a goy.
Yeah, but doesn't say that you can't be.
It's mutter. It's mutter. You consider the same table as a guy. He's eating chametz, you're eating matzah.
Right. I hear. I don't know. I don't have the issue with Costco because every time we go there and we see the big bags of not Chol Yisrael chocolate, me and my kids, we all cry together that we can't buy it. So we're used to not getting some food from Costco. So on Pesach, it's not. So then they say, of course,
Yeah,
what
but
do you mean with double fine thing?
Parrots buys all his alcohol there.
I hear.
So-
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I chalish that I can't get the stuff that's not kosher either.
Yeah, but that's a different department. You don't walk through that.
The different
on
department, we
Pesach.
have it in our mentality.
What are you talking about? They sell kosher Pesach tequila. I went through a whole bottle last Pesach.
Oh, yeah,
My-
so,
That was my
okay, so
Corona fix.
you proved my point, exactly.
It's kosher Pesach.
Parrots, did you finish it
Avadi-
before you
Parrots-
checked out?
Parrots, you can buy the tequila 100%. You could drink the tequila with both hands, but maybe you can't go into buy it in Costco because maybe you'll buy the Kirkland Scotch because you buy it the whole year over there. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, this is only negay if we pass him like
oh,
Rabbi
it's so
Yehuda.
expensive, man.
What?
Rashi has. It's only negay if we pass him like Rabbi Yehuda. Rashi goes out of his way over here to explain the Rabanan.
Gershon, we're not learning Gemara to learn halacha l'maisa. We're talking in the Gemara. All the time you do this. Who cares? So according to one shita.
Take a deep breath. Okay? Take a deep breath.
Anyway, you're right. I'm saying if you bet, I'm right. In the Gemara, going to that shita, it's according to that shita, right? That's what it would be. But you're right. In the practical, although I don't know what you're saying with the achsanya. What are you saying with the achsanya? There's something about not going into a guy's house because you might eat it. Might eat chametz there.
It's mutter. You can go into a guy's house. You can go to a hotel.
Are you
can
saying
go
why
to
it should be
Gemaras.
mutter? You're saying why it should be mutter?
Yeah, Lamaisa
Yeah,
it's mutter.
Right, I hear. Very good. Okay, so then the next.
In a hotel, if you have the chametz, you should cover it.
Avada, you have to cover it. Yeah.
Room.
By the way, that's a good point. That's the most practical time when it comes. When do you have to be by the chametz in middle of Pesach? If you go to a hotel room in middle of Chol Hamoed, that's what we're saying. We pass that you have to be by the hotel room before you got to check under the bed, right, to see if there's any chametz there. Fine. So now let's see. Right, Rav Ashi Omer to Rabbi Yehuda like kasha. Kemach v'koli tanan. Avrami, this is your teretz. It's talking about kemach and koli, right? Which is flour and roasted flour. Neither of which are really edible. So therefore, there's no chashash. That's what they were dealing with on the 16th day of Nisan, on the first day of Chol Hamoed. So it's not really edible. So there's no chashash that you're going to eat it. Then the Gemara says, but the Gemara doesn't like that teretz. The Rav Ashi bedusahi. Rav Ashi was a mistake. His teretz was a mistake. That's only from once it got dried out. Before that, I guess it is edible. Once you start drying it out, it becomes not edible. Right? That's the whole deal with what brachas you'd make on all these type of things. Right? And if you're gonna say no, it's gonna since it was grabbed, right? What do we call kituf again? Plucking, right? Plucking, and therefore you're gonna remember that. But what about kaitzrin in the irrigated fields and in the valleys that we said you're allowed to, and there you don't have, you can reap it or gather it in the regular way. When we say like Rabbi Yehuda, what are you going to say? That's regular flour, not flour, grain. Ella the Ravashi Badusi. Okay, Ravashi's teretz is no good. Fine. Okay, now we go back to Rabbi Yehuda. And wherever you're not, right, again, what was our teretz to Rabbi Yehuda? Chametz, you're not separated from it the whole year. So we're afraid you're going to eat it. Yashan, Chadash, those grains you are separated. Rabbi Yehuda, wherever you're not bodel, wherever you're not separated, did Rabbi Yehuda make a gzeira? Right, not Chanukah. It's close, but it's not Chanukah. It's Shabbos, yeah? Right? You're not allowed to take, somebody wants to keep his lamps lit for a long time on Shabbos. So you're not allowed to take an eggshell, make a hole in the eggshell, fill it up with oil, and let it drip into your existing candle, right? So don't make a hole in an egg, obviously spilled out the egg, and put in oil in there. Put it next to a candle. Not a can. We mean a candle. We mean obviously an oil candle. It should drip there. Even if it's cheres, which is disgusting, and you're not going to end up messing around with it, right? Rabbi Yehuda says it's mutter. So again, the Tanakama says it's assur because we're afraid you're going to mess with the oil and you're going to end up putting it out. And Rabbi Yehuda says it's mutter. So clearly Rabbi Yehuda is not concerned.
Putting it out or tilting it in order to get
either
more
one,
oil
either
to go
putting
in.
lighting it, either one, both. It's really both. But yeah, right? It's both. So, but Rabbi Yehuda, I mean, you do this every day, right? So Shabbos, l'chayra, Rabbi Yehuda should be concerned that he's going to do it on Shabbos too. Yet he's not concerned. So when it says Hasam Shum Chumra de Shabbos Mivdal Bedili, I don't clearly get this teretz because of the Chumra of Shabbos. So therefore, you're going to be separated from it, right? Now, I mean, what about we're busy with Chumra de Pesach, right? Everything we say Chumra de Pesach, Chumra de Pesach. Now we're saying Chumra de Shabbos, right? Over Pesach.
It's inverted, really.
What do you mean? What's the Chumra de Pesach?
The Chumra de Pesach is really Chumra de Chametz.
And you mavato, it's not yours. It's the Rabanan.
I know, but we're. I'm saying, okay, you're saying that Rabbi Yehuda is not into Chumra de Pesach.
Yeah, because mavato.
No, he could be.
I mean, everybody holds you mavato the Chametz.
So it's the Rabanan.
Let Rabbi Yehuda be.
Shabbos is the Raisa.
So I mean, Chametz is the Raisa too.
Yeah, but if you mavato, it's not yours.
I know, but okay.
If you eat it, it's still a kares.
Right, no, if you eat it, right, it's a problem. You could eat it and it doesn't belong to you, so you're not buying it.
Still kares.
The chash is eating it, or that you have it in your rishus?
Well, the concern here is that he's eating it. Yeah. Yeah, you might eat it.
It is an inverse of the same thing. Shabbos, the Chumra de Shabbos is going against the Malachah. Technically, Chumra de Pesach is really Chumra de Chametz. Well, they're kind of going in the same direction. If I'm lay badul minei, then there is no Chumra de Chametz. There's no Chumra de Pesach.
Okay, fair enough.
What are you saying? I don't understand Gershi again. What are you saying?
They're different directions. Chumra de Shabbos is working against me doing an action. By Chametz, we call it Chumra de Pesach. It really means Chumra de Chametz. We're machmer on Chametz. That Chumra of Chametz and Lei Badili work against each other. But they don't, if there's a Lei Badil Minei, there's no Chumra de Chametz anymore. Goes out the window. It's not working against it directly.
Right.
The R Scroll note says that because it's Erev Pesach, it doesn't hold the same stringencies versus Shabbos, which holds different stringencies. Well,
yeah, but I understand because they're arguing on Pesach too.
No, it seems according to the art scroll note here 23, it says that it's Erev Pesach. That Erev Pesach there's no Isser of kares, or Arba Mises Basin or whatever, but for Shabbos there is a chiyuv of kares and skila if somebody's over this, or chayv achatos. So because of that, there's a difference.
I don't know. I thought the Machlokes is also on Pesach. Okay, I hear that. Erev Pesach is taka different than Pesach itself. Okay. Anyway, so then the Gemara asks for Rami the Shabbos, Shabbos. We'll have a steer in Shabbos too. The Tanya, Chevel, the Lisha Nifsak. If you have a rope of a bucket that you draw water with, and it got broken, so now you need to draw water. How you draw water on Shabbos? Ayin Erevin. Yeah, we haven't brought up Erevin in a little bit, just in case, right? Holes in the porches, throwing, in case anybody misses it, right? Holding onto the rope, throwing it up to the next porch, down, up, all around, whatever it is. But Rami the Shabbos, Tanya, Chevel Deli. So a rope of a bucket shenifsak that got broken. You can't tie it together, right? That's pashut. You can't tie a knot. You do a bow. Rabbi Yehuda punda or piskia. You can put a belt on it, or these are types of belts. Yeah, meaning you go around and around. As long as you don't put a bow. Kasha Rabbi Yehuda, Kasha the Rabanan. It's a Kasha Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda is a Kasha the Rabanan. Here, Rabbi Yehuda is concerned. He doesn't even let you make a bow because he's afraid you're going to end up making a knot. And the Rabanan, who didn't allow you to do this thing with the oil, with the eggs, with the oil, here they allow you to make a bow and they're not worried about a knot. So again, Kasha Rabbi Yehuda, Kasha the Rabanan. So the Rabanan like Kasha Shemen b'Shemen Michlaf. Oil you can get mixed up with. Shemen b'Shemen gets you can get easily messed up, right? So yeah, and because so Rashi says the pshat is that you might actually come take oil to eat. You need some oil during the week. You jump up, you get some oil, and from your thing, from this contraption you made. So Shabbos you might too. But people don't get mixed up between making bows and knots. That's the Rabbanan's way of answering it. The reason is not because he made a gezerah, a bow, or because of a knot. No, Rabbi Yehuda holds, and we had this in Shabbos quite a few times. Rabbi Yehuda holds that a bow is assur. He does not allow bows on Shabbos. Right? Rabbi Yehuda does not allow bows on Shabbos. So that's what it is. So now, Verami the Rabbanan.
Is it chalik on the last Gemara in Erevin about the harp or whatever it was?
Yeah. That's that. Then we bring it. Did we bring Rabbi Yehuda there? We said Rabbi Shem. It got back to Rabbi Yehuda somehow. Yes, Peretz, 100%. Very good. Yes, that's yeah. But Rami Rabbanan al Rabbanan. Why don't we ask the Stephen Rabbanan? The Tanan Kaishon Deliba Piskia Avaloi Bechevel. You're allowed to tie a bucket with a piskia, right? Which is some sort of belt, but you can't tie with a rope. Rabbi Yehuda mater, and Rabbi Yehuda allows it. Now chevel demai, what is this rope that you're not allowed to tie with? If you're going to say that it's a regular rope, Rabbi Yehuda mater, and Rabbi Yehuda is going to allow that, right? That's if you take it with a regular rope that you're supposed to use to attach the buckets. Then it's kesher shegemer. If it's a rope, you're going to leave it there, right? Again, a knot is only a problem if you're going to leave it there for a long time. Elapshita, the gardi, it's talking about a rope for somebody who weaves things, which is not, you're not going to leave it there. And the Chachamim still said it's assur because they're afraid that you're going to get mixed up between the chevel, a rope of a weaver, which you're never going to leave there, but then you might end up using a regular rope, which you will leave there. So whatever. So now here the Chachamim are concerned. So Gemara says in chevel b'chevel michlaf. Yes, one rope the Chachamim hold. One rope will get mixed up with another rope. But to make a bow with a knot, to make a bow and then get confused with a knot, that does not get mixed up. Yeah. Fine. Okay, so now we have no stira with the Chachamim with making ropes and Shabbos. Then the Gemara goes v'chol heichad the badal minei loy gazer Rabbi Yehuda, and wherever you're not separated from it, there's no gezerah. Again, another kasha. Vatanya bechor she'ach sudam. So what's a din of bechor, which we had? I don't know if we had a Pesachim or Erevin. Right? So somebody has a bechor, an animal that's a bechor, and it gets a mum. So that's it. It's done. First of all, you're not allowed to put a mum into a bechor, right? But if it does get a mum, then it goes to the kohen, and it doesn't. You're not makriv it, etc., etc. Whatever it is. But let's say this bechor is bleeding, right? And it's gonna die. Now, can you go do some sort of procedure in order to save its life? The problem is you might end up making it into a mum, right? So bechor she'ach sudam afilu hu meis, even if it's going to die, right? Ein makizin le'dam divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, you are not allowed to let out, let it bleed a little bit to let out the pressure. Yakiz, you could do it, as long as you don't put a mum on it.
It's gonna die.
Right? Doesn't make a difference. He's afraid that you're going to do an assur to do that. So again, here you see Rabbi Yehuda is afraid, and the Chachamim are not afraid. Right? So therefore, why? But you're not badal from. I'm sorry, you are badal, right? You're not used to using this thing, so yet Rabbi Yehuda is still concerned, right? So Hassam, no, there's different. A person scared for his mammon, meaning he doesn't want to lose it. The kohen doesn't want to lose this bechor, right? If it dies, he's out, right? Obviously, he didn't have shchita. So I'm reading an isharas le'b'makom shein oisen by mum asi le'merim makom she'oisen mum. If we're going to allow him to do the bloodletting in the place where there's no mum, he might end up doing it in a place that's going to make it to a mum because he's so desperate to make sure that this animal stays alive. Rabanan kol shekain de'ilai sharas le'klal asi le'mever. Again, philosophically, total different outlook. The Rabanan say, well, if you don't let him do the mum, do the bloodletting, then for sure he's gonna come to do something. Meaning, at least let him. I mean, this is really a machlokes in the psychology of a person. Rabbi Yehuda is saying if you're gonna give him a hand, he may take a foot. No pun intended there. But right, if you're gonna let him do something, he's gonna end up doing a lot more. And the Rabanan say no. If you let him do nothing, then he's gonna try. He's gonna be over. At least let him do something, and he'll listen. Right, so that's the pshat in that machlokes.
Make it a machlokes in chinuch, Yaakov.
No, and a chanami. Yes. If it wasn't so late, then we could probably figure out a difference in there. And if I knew more of Shas, I maybe make some tushtels, the other machlokes and this, but got to keep it in mind. Yes. Then the Gemara says, "Mi amrin Rabbi Yehuda adam ba'al amamaynos." So now we're going to ask another kasha Rabbi Yehuda. Right? Do we say that Rabbi Yehuda is concerned that a person's going to be hey touch bohol? He's going to be he's going to get carried away. I don't know. Yeah, hold on. Check. Bohol.
Turmoil.
Turmoil. Okay, turmoil. Person gets into turmoil. Okay. Me or the Rabbi Yehuda adam ba'al amamaynos, but Tanan Rabbi Yehuda Aimer ein mekadron habehema b'yamtif mipnei shu oisach habura. You're not allowed to take a metal comb to comb the animal on Yom Tif because you're going to make a chabura, you're going to make it bleed. Aval mekartzifin, but you are allowed to use a wood comb. You can't use a metal comb, and you can't even use a wood comb. What's kidur and what's kirtzav? Kidur ketanim va'aisen chabura. Kidur is with small. It's small. The differences between like a brush and a comb, I guess, right? They're very small and they make chaburas. Kartzov is gedolim ve'einaisen chabura. They're large and they won't make chabura. I think the same thing they say with girls, brushes, whatever on Shabbos, right? If they're very thin, then you're allowed to use it. If it doesn't pull out here, it's thick. Not whatever it is. What do you see here? That Rabbi Yehuda says you're not allowed to. You're allowed to use the wood comb, right? You might end up, you may become bol amamayne and do a chabura, right? But clearly he doesn't have a problem with that. So the Gemara answers, Hasam d'ishavik le mayis. I'm reading adam bol amamayne. There, now psychologically this takes a step further. There by the bechor, if you're going to allow him to die, right? I'm reading on adam bol amamayne. You're going to say that a person's going to be Paul Amamoine, right? Then what? So now it's somewhere between
animal, if you don't birth the thing, then you're gonna let it. Then it's gonna die, right? It's still with the vein. It's still with the vein.
Oh, there, yeah. So there, what is now he's saying like this. What's Rabbi Yehuda saying? There by the animal, since if you don't do anything, it's gonna die. Therefore, if we're gonna allow you to do something, you're gonna get carried away. Right? It's very interesting because the Chachamim had said, since it's gonna die, you better let him do something. Otherwise, he's gonna go totally out of control. Right? And then Rabbi Yehuda is saying, no, since it's going to die, if we let him do something, then he's going to lose control. So better not to let him do anything. Right? It's a deep word, as they say. Right? However it is, it's again, since if you leave it, it's going to die. So we say a person's going to get carried away and he's going to end up doing more than he's allowed. Here, if you leave the animal and you don't comb it, it's just going to be in tsar. It's not going to die. So a person's not going to get carried away to try and save his animals. Just as his animal is not going to be so comfortable because it wasn't combed.
We're not worried about tsar b'alachaim?
No, see, but you're not causing the animal.
You could relieve him of it.
You could relieve it. So the question is, do we allow an assur? Well, maybe that's what Rabbi Yehuda is saying. No, maybe Rabbi Yehuda comes out. You are allowed to comb it. He's saying you're allowed to comb it because you're allowed to comb it with the wood comb because we're not afraid that you're going to get mixed up with the metal comb. Right? Meaning he's not afraid you're going to do more than you're allowed to. The Chachamim say you can't do anything. Right? So, yeah. So anyway, so Rabbi Yehuda, is that what we're up to? Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda, Mishna gabi Chametz the Gaza or Mishna gabi Kartz of the Legos. Okay, so now, how come Rabbi Yehuda makes Xera by Chametz, that he's afraid that you're going to eat the Chametz, meaning you're going to get carried away? And Mishna by Kartzuf, by the combing, that there's no Gezerah. So and he says, Lechem belechem michlef kider bekartzuf loy michlef. Bread can get mixed up with bread, and combing is not going to get mixed up with combing. I can't say I understand this one either. But obviously, this is a raya that their matzah was more like pita, right? Because our matzah is not getting confused with bread, right? I don't think so. I don't see how that could be, right? So it must be that their matzah was like pita, and that could theoretically get, at least it can get mixed up with kosher, not
for Passover use matzahs.
So that but that's unless you say that
it's a stretch,
right? Yeah, but kidur b'kitzuf, you're not going to get mixed up. You're not going to confuse a wood comb with a metal comb. I don't know. If I was combing animals, I would quicker get mixed up between a metal comb and a wood comb. Right, but that's what he's saying, that you're not going to get confused with that. Fine, so that's it. So Zok the Mishna, next Mishna.
Maybe you could tell by the teeth of the comb that they're separated much further than as opposed to being together.
Are you saying so? Maybe it's not
It's lavdafka wood or metal, but maybe it's
because the teeth, right? Because the Gemara says before. Very good, right? So maybe the teeth, it's very obvious. That's a good shot.
Yeah. Also, if you look at the job they do, matzah and chametz do the same job. The two types of comb do not do the same job.
I mean, so you'll realize.
It's doing a different job. I'm not able to do that job.
Right, but like Rashi points out, though, Lemaisa, it does, the Rabanan hold you would get confused, right?
Because the action is similar.
Huh?
The action is similar. It's the same action. Doesn't necessarily, the outcome is different.
Correct. No, but that is the Machlokes. Yeah. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah. Yeah, it's late, but the rest of them it's pretty easy. Ramei Reimer, Oichlin kol chamesh, you eat the whole 5th hour, meaning you could eat chametz the whole 5th hour. Sarfin betchila sheish, and you have to burn the chametz in the beginning of the 6th hour. Right? The 6th hour is 5 hours into the day. Right? Not the end of the 6th hour, beginning of the 6th hour. Oichlin kol arba, you eat the 4th hour. This is the way we paskin. The toilin kol chamesh, on the 5th hour it's hanging, literally means hanging. Right? You don't have to burn it yet, but you're not allowed to eat it. right? That's what we do, right? The soif zman achila, and then there's the soif zman of burning. The sarfin bechila sheish, and then you burn it at the beginning of the 6th hour. How
long do you have to burn it?
You have to have
until
it
the end of the
by,
6th hour.
Yeah,
You have the whole 6th hour.
No, it has to be done by the 6th hour. You don't have
it
to
says,
burn it.
And you burn it in the beginning of the 6th hour. So
correct, meaning that's the end of the time.
So during the 5th hour, it's not hanging. You have to do the burning during the 5th hour.
What?
You have to do the burning.
You can burn it whenever you want. Right?
But if it has to be burnt by the end of the 5th hour, no?
Correct.
You need some time to burn.
No. That's a different shiloh. Whether it's the 6th hour, the beginning, the end of it, that's a different machlokes. Right? But he holds that it's right? He holds that but it's whatever it is, it's the 6th hour. It's not well, everybody holds it, it's the 6th hour. That's not a machlokes. Shiloh is the 5th hour, whether it's also achil or not. Right? Yeah. We make a further gezerah than that. But that's really it should be done by chatzos. That's really what it is. Well, that's a different Mishna. There are 2 chalas of a taida that apostle put on top of the itzdava. Calls machu menachos, right? As long as they're there, kala am eichlin. As long as everybody looks up and sees these 2 loaves of bread, then they know they're allowed to eat. Nitla achas, if they take away 1 loaf of bread, toilin, then you do the middle case, hanging, loy eichlin v'loy sarfin. They don't eat it, they don't burn it. Nitlu shteyen, if they both get removed, then it's chilu kala am sarfin, then everybody knows that they start burning. That's just tell you the history of it. That's how everybody knew. Gamliel has a 3rd sheet. Chulin nechol kol arba. You can eat chulin the whole 4th. Truma kol chamish, because you want an extra hour to eat the truma. And then sarvim to tchila sheish, and you burn it in the beginning of the 6th hour. Okay, that's a 3-way machlokes. Now the Gemara is going to get into edus, right? And how, meaning what is the pshat? Again, what is the pshat in the machlokes? Tanan Hosam. We learned in the Mishna over there. Echadam b'shnayim b'chaydish, right? When in Rosh Hashanah, when they came to do edus achaydish, so they went under interrogation to make sure they're not lying when they saw the new moon. So echadam b'shnayim b'chaydish, right? One said, I'm sorry, I got mixing up with something else. This is talking about a capital punishment case. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Capital punishment case, right? So they're getting interrogated for, everything has to fit exactly, right? So they're getting interrogated, and one of them says, one says it was on the 2nd day of the month, and one says it was on the 3rd day of the month. Now you think, okay, these guys are obviously playing games. One guy said it happened on the 2nd day, one guy said it on the 3rd day. No, edus and kayemis, their edus is kayem. One guy knew that they had 2 days of Chodesh, and one guy didn't. Meaning, one guy went to shul, one guy didn't. Right? One guy thought it was b'yechidus, he's a Corona guy, and the other guy's not a Corona guy, so he didn't know there's 2 days of Chodesh, or he missed Chodesh benching, or he's in the Kiddush club and he missed it, whatever it is. Yeah.
What happens if it's only 1 day of Chodesh?
No, it's just. What do you mean?
That I'm saying, what happens that month that they're talking? It wasn't 2 days of Chodesh.
So and a chanami, so then that wouldn't work.
So then this edus would be thrown out.
I would guess so. No, yeah.
No, he could have thought. He could have thought that there was 2 days, even though there was 1 day. Could have made this.
I mean, he could have thought the other way around. He could have He could have made a mistake both ways.
Yeah, right.
He could have made a mistake both ways.
He didn't go to shul, so he doesn't know. He thought it was 2 days.
Right. You're right. Either way, enough to leave. Somebody making the mistake. No, yeah, very good. Thank you. Right. So echad aimer b'shloisha v'echad aimer b'hei I do some batel. But obviously, if one guy says it's on the 3rd day of the month, and one guy says on the 5th day of the month, then it's batel because there's no way to get around this. Now, what you're going to ask is, what do you mean? We're always looking for excuses to not kill people, and here it looks like the Gemara is looking for excuses to kill. Right. We're always looking for excuses. The Gemara is going to ask that later on. What happened? What's going on here, right? We know that, right? The Gemara Makkah says once every 7 years, once every 70 years. Here there's a discrepancy. Yet the Gemara seems to giving terutzim to try and get their edus to be aligned, right? Okay, but that's a kasha that's going to be asked later on. Fine. Last thin line. One says it was at 2 o'clock. One says it was at 3. Well, not 2 o'clock. 2 hours into the day. and the other one says it's 3 hours into the day. Edusam kayemas. Then their edus is good. One says 3 and one says 5. Edusam betela, the edus is bottle. Divri Rameir, that's a Rameir holds. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Edusam kayemas, their edus is kayem. Right? Echad Omer b'chomish, ve'echad Omer b'sheva. One says it was 5 hours into the day, the murder. And the other one says it was 7 hours into the day. Edusam betela, the edus is bottle. Shebechomish chamem b'mizrach. Why? Because nobody confuses 5 hours with 7 hours. Why? Because
They
5
had
hours,
watches then?
They did not have watches then. You're asking what happened nowadays. This whole
No,
thing would.
I'm not asking nowadays, but the 5th hour, the 7th hour is not that far off without a watch.
No, but because Chamesh, the Chama b'mizrach, Sheva Chama b'mayrav. It's in the east. The sun is very easy to tell at that time. Meaning, when it's towards the end of the day, so then it's hard to tell. Is it 5? Is it 8 hours in the day, 9 hours in the day? But 5 hours and 7 hours, the sun should be on different sides of the thing. I can't say I would be able to tell, but I guess back then they were better at it.
Isn't it saying the 5th hour is before noon and the 7th hour is afternoon?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly.
Like anybody,
what it is.
I mean, I guess maybe not. We wouldn't be able to tell.
I don't know. In the sun, in the middle, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the Machlokes Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda. Samar Abai Kishatim Tzalei Divrei Meir Ein Adam Tayav Aloi Klum. According to Rameir, a person doesn't make any sort of mistakes, and if he did make a person shouldn't be making mistakes in the hours, and if he did, it's a problem, right? The Rabbi Yehuda Adam Tayav Chatzi Shah. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, a person is allowed to make a mistake up to a half hour. How do we learn this? A person doesn't make any mistake. When did the murder happen? At 2:59 and 59 seconds, going into 3 o'clock. Right? Exactly at that time. When the guy that said that it happened at 2 o'clock meant it happened at 2:59:59, or really 2:59:59:59, meaning 3 o'clock. He meant that it happened at 3 o'clock exactly. So they both are saying the same exact thing, according to the shot. It was at the end of the second hour, and the other one says it was the beginning of the third hour. They're just basically saying the same thing. They're just describing it differently. The Rabbi Yehuda. Adam Toya Chatzi Shah. A person makes a half-hour mistake. Ma'aseki hava bepalga da arba. It was halfway through 4, right? Halfway through the 4th hour. B'hai dekomer sholish b'soif sholish. And this person said it was the 3rd hour that the murder happened. It happened at the end of the 3rd hour, which really means he was a half hour off. Vikatoy palga da shaita lekamei, and he made a half-hour mistake too early. B'hai dekomer chomesh, and the one that said that the murder happened at 5 hours into the day. He meant betchilas chamesh in the beginning of the 5th hour. Katai palga the shaita lachayre, and he messed up a half hour too late, right? So again, using it in our clock, right? The murder happened at 4:30. The first guy made a half-hour mistake early, and he called it 3, but it was really 3:59 and 59 seconds, right? And the second guy called it 5, right? So it was 5 o'clock on the nose. That's the way he's explaining the Machlokes. That's the way Abai is explaining the Machlokes. Ikad Amri, others say no. Amar, meaning it's almost the same exact thing, but a slight variation. Ikad Amri, Amar Abai, Kishatim Tzalem B'Divrei Meir, Adam Toya Mashahu. It's not that a person doesn't make a mistake at all. He makes a slight mistake. L'Divrei Yehuda, Adam Toya Sha'u Mashahu, and according to Yehuda, he makes an hour and change. L'Divrei Meir, Adam Toya Mashahu. According to Meir, he makes a slight mistake of a second. Ma'aseki hava oy b'soif shtayim hava oy b'tchila shalish. The story happened either at 2:59:59 or 3 o'clock 00:01, whatever. And a person, one of them made a slight mistake by calling it 2 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock, or 3 o'clock instead of 2:59:59. The Rabbi Yehuda Adam Toya show mashu, but a person makes an hour and change mistake. The story happened either at the end of the 3rd hour, 3:59:59, or 5 o'clock 50:01. Yeah. Now we're on Talmud. And one of them made the mistake of a show mashu, right? And if the murder happened 3:59:59, then the guy that said 5 o'clock is off by an hour. If the murder happened at 5 o'clock, then the guy that said 3 o'clock is off by an hour and change. Right? Fine. I guess okay, we can stop over here. But that's where the saying the Machlokes is in the amount of hours between. Now, how does this go back to Chametz? Let's just make sure we get it straight, right? So that's how big a mistake are we worried about people that Rabbi Yehuda is saying you got to stop eating the Chametz for the 5th hour because he's more afraid of people making mistakes, right? Rameir is not so concerned for people making mistakes in the hour. So therefore, he says people will know, so that you're allowed to let them eat in the 5th hour. All right. Sei gesund.
Why aren't we?
Can't hear you. Gute Nacht. What are you saying, Prince?
Take care.
To the area of Tchum, where it's not exactly perfect. Right? The Tchum, it's not
you
exactly.
said they measure it, right.
It's a percentage of people that are off. So same thing here, percentage people off with their hours.
And you say, right, very good. Parents, you into the Erevin, huh?
I had to make that seems. I had to learn that last comment really well.
What?
I had to learn the last part really well. I made that season for the guy.
Oh, very good.
Rabbi, why does the Gemara in the second case it goes from the first, one says it's the first, one says it's the second, and we say obviously one didn't know it was 2 days Rosh Chodesh, but then it goes to 3 and 5. Why doesn't it go to 2 and 3? Then you don't have an answer of Rosh Chodesh, and we'll know the 3rd day and the 5th day.
Again, what are you saying?
In the second case, where it says one says it's the 3rd day, one says it's the 5th day, and it's B'Telin, the Edusan B'Telin. Why doesn't it say the second 2 and 3, and we'll know 2 and 3? Then you don't have the excuse of Rosh Chodesh. One says it's the 2nd day, one says it's the 3rd day.
Right.
Then you don't have the excuse of Rosh Chodesh that one didn't know how long Rosh Chodesh was, and we'll know the 3rd day and the 5th day.
Why not? I'm saying why aren't they making a mistake? Which part are you asking
days,
about?
Not by the hours. The first case where the Gemara says one says it's the first day and then the 2nd day, and they say it's Kayemes because of Rosh Chodesh.
Right.
And then the Gemara says if one says it's the 3rd day and one says it's the 5th day, then it's the Edus and B'Telin.
Right.
Why doesn't it say 2nd day and 3rd day? Then we'll know the 3rd day and the 5th day, right? If one says it's the 2nd day and one says it's the 3rd day, then
it works.
Why does it work? There's no excuse of Rosh Chodesh.
10:07 already.
Same excuse.
What?
No,
Why not? Why
for
don't
Rosh
you have that
Chodesh.
excuse? What?
Are you saying because it has to be off by 2 days?
As long as they're off by 1 day, that just means that one of them thought that there was 1 day Rosh Chodesh, so Mamela, he saw it on the 2nd day of the month. The other thought there was the other thought there was 2 days Rosh Chodesh, so he thought it was the 1st day of the month.
So that would be till the 29th and the 27th and the 28th.
Yeah, that would be on the next month. Yeah.
What I'm saying, but would that work?
Yeah, why not?
Rosh Hashanah?
I don't know how far, but
how many months do you want? I understand. What do you want to do?
Well, now I'm just timing. Would it work until one says the 27th and one says the 28th? We'll believe them because they still don't know that it was 1 day Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah, why not?
You want to back it up? How far? I understand.
Now I'm curious.
You're trying to say
she answered my question, but
saying you're trying to say 2-3 days, 2nd day, 3rd day.
How far does that work?
Meaning,
I didn't know it was 2 day Rosh Chodesh. Does that work if I
you're
say?
Saying does that right? Does that work to the end of the month? That's what you're asking.
Now I'm asking that because Gershi answered my first question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I don't know.
Okay, so it's as long as it's 2 days apart, then it's no good.
I would say if it's Corona and everybody's down via Chidus, so then they have they have a longer. Or you want to just bring I don't know. You want to just bring the raya that people don't go to.
Rabbi Yehuda would be masking today that we have a luah.
That's good. You have a makar. Now you have anybody else why you didn't go to shul. You have a makar.
Well, there's a reason why they announced the moilid.
All right,
anyways,
why did the Rabanan not worry about Yom HaMa'unan here?
Why are they not worried about it here?
Yeah, I mean,
I think this is before.
You have to leave it
This
out.
is even. This is even before we get into the cloudy days, no?
What do you mean? Oh, the Rabanan say that you can eat all the way up until you beer chametz, until you burn it, until straight. Why don't they hold the same as R Yehuda? Because
Where is the Mishnah with Yom Unan? Is that the next parak? Where is it? I couldn't remember.
Not sure. But you have Gzeiros or Shal Yom Unan all over the place.
Right.
Why here, Mishna the Pesach, do they not say such a thing?
I hear. I don't know why. I don't know. We have to wait till that Mishnah. We have to wait till that Mishnah room. Remind me when we get to that Mishnah.
Yeah.
That's a good kasha.
To it in Yevamot. I remember that Mishnah Pesachim.
No, this isn't Pesachim. This isn't Pesachim.
I know, but there's more than one Mishnah. It's all over that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yashikaya.
All right. It's Zygazont, everybody. Peace out.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Simon, I was thinking, my kids were telling me they want parakeets.
Well,
I didn't say I want parakeets.
okay. So what do you want me to do about that? What do you want me to do with this statement?
What?
What do you want me to do with this statement? I'm not sure how to play this.
I'm just letting you know that I might be in the game, but I haven't really had time to talk to them about it.
It's a shtick time bound. It's what's his name? Who's the rabbi that died from Darche? Harbader.
Right.
His wife and his son are moving to Lakewood.
Is that so?
Apparently. My wife works with one of his daughters,
right.
Sarah Schwartz. So she sent that to my wife because she knows that we're animal people. And I said, I'll put it out on my groups in Far Rockaway.
Oh, I didn't cop it. Somebody from Far Rockaway.
Yeah.
I didn't cop that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll ask the powers that be if they want parakeets.
Okay. All right, let me know. It's 4 of them. The only thing you would
4?
need.
Oh, 4 parakeets?
Yeah, I mean, they need friends.
I thought 2 is enough. No.
Yeah, whatever. You couldn't get
Parrots,
one.
you're
You're gonna
recording
get 2,
still,
you're gonna get
Parrots.
4.
I think
You may
you're
as well get
recording.
10. Whatever. It's 4
You know what
parrots.
happened? My